Welcome to the 8th episode of Countdown to RSAC, where I have none other than Dani Woolf in the house. And if that was the fastest countdown that you've ever seen, I was seriously just hitting the panic button, because in StreamYard fashion, right? That's who we're using as our live streaming host. I was pushing go live and it wasn't doing anything.
Oh no.
Yeah. We can't talk to each other, right, when that's happening, because I got my little countdown video thing happening. And it's there. We're live now. But
could you see me dancing behind the scenes though? Because I love it. Okay, cool.
I could see you off stage. So if anybody ever wants to talk about like how to run StreamYard, wants to do a little bit of all that stuff, I'm always down for that. I think that going live is really the only way to go. And it's just because I have no patience for editing. And Dani, I told you about this before in our little warm-up session, but you know what? This is a conversation between two people. And we are inviting other people to join us if they want. They can comment, they can react. I love that. I want more comments. And you know what? If it didn't totally explode all of the internal resources of my machine, I would. Actually, I got a second machine. I'll pop it up. But I do want to see if there's anybody here. And if there is, please say something. Don't just lurk in the background. All right. I promise not to like chase you down and send you spam until the end of time because you engaged on my show. All right. I'm just going to say thank you. You're the best. Thanks for coming out. All right, Dani. So we got some ground to cover here.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Okay. And I've said this many times. I'm going to say it again. You're probably getting sick of it, but I have to tell anybody who's listening that you are single-handed. Well, I don't want to say single-handed. There was a conversation that you and Carrie Gard had about 2 years ago, almost to the day practically, that I listened to. And you said something, a whole bunch of other stuff. What I remember was join the conversation. And I can't stop talking about it for 2 straight years because by golly, it was huge. Do you even remember that? Do you remember saying that?
I was like, so God, what did I say? I think it was something along the lines of marketers need to unmute their mics and join the conversation, join the resistance of meaning the pushback that we get, unfortunately, from security practitioners and buyers. Like, let's join that wave. Let's start talking to them and understand, well, why is it that you're pushing back? Like, what are those triggers that are causing you to feel such disdain with what we're doing, right? And so that stemmed from a lot of frustration, right, that I've had in my tenure as a B2B marketer. Is like, I was often told to sit down, the smart people are talking, or we're not going to invite you to the table to listen in on the conversations or the analyst calls. Just go do your marketing work. But marketers, we need to persuade people to pay attention. If we're going to persuade people to pay attention, then we need to be part of those conversations. And so that's kind of where it stemmed from, if I recall correctly.
Not having gone back to review that particular session in some time, you could have been talking about something entirely. I could have just. It's probably taken on a life of its own at this point. But but for me as a seller, right, unabashed seller, I had adopted a kind of a position of customers always right. I always am trying to angle and juke and jive for, like, how do I integrate with whatever, and whatever they're saying, and then never really kind of upsetting the apple cart, right? Never really kind of getting out there and taking a risk about an opinion or an idea or any other sort of motion that I wanted to execute, and kind of sitting in the background. And all of a sudden, what translated to me through that dialogue you were having with Carrie was, bruh, stop, just go, just get in there and mix it up. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah. Let's try that, right? And because LinkedIn, and particularly, right, as a place where marketers hang out, because those marketers are my customers, and I don't really hang out with other sellers, right? So I don't see them very much. It felt risky. It felt so scary. Like, oh man, because the marketers, you tend to certain marketers, particularly, tend to be kind of opinionated and sort of a little bit bossy sometimes, and kind of particularly in social, right? And it was just such like permission, like, oh, you know what? Your voice counts. So I just want to say thank you for that. It resonated with me, and it's continued to resonate. And it's something that I have that has dramatically and radically increased my level of engagement and willingness to just get out there. And
So I love that you're telling me this, by the way. It's great validation for me. I'm going to kind of maybe hijack a little bit now.
Okay.
What changed tangibly? Can you tell us any differences you see now? And I imagine that wasn't the only conversation or session you heard that kind of gave you a little bit of empowerment, right? You're on LinkedIn, you talk to other people, but like, what steps did you make to change, and what changed?
Well, what changed was and I love it that you're hosting now. It's so good. What changed for me was the type of content that I was making. So it went from content that was exclusively serving the end game of my employer, which is Infused, and it's the same employer, right? Same stuff. I still, doing that. And more so, in fact. But what changed is how I went about communicating that message, and then the reactions to it. So I went from October of 2019 until May of 2022, doing it in a very specific way. You can look and see like what kind of content I was making, what it looked like. It was pretty much on point, doing a lot of talking head stuff. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, go in and find somebody who's talking about what you were talking about, and then talk back. Right. So it became a much more intentional sort of commenting, and I don't want to say strategy. It's just a mindset. I think it was a shift. And from that point forward, I began to actually create meaningful, valuable two-way relationships with hundreds and hundreds of people now. Some of whom are my prospects and clients. Okay. Many of whom are marketers who aren't my prospects or clients, who I just enjoy because I value their opinions and I like what they're talking about. It's really fascinating and interesting stuff. And then other people who not even close, right? Just friends, like social, like LinkedIn people. And I mean, I've done like, well, let's see. I did the Hotness and Leisure show. Did 2 seasons of that. I did the early. I did like 30 episodes, 20 something episodes of that. I did a 344 Live, which was a safe way to sell your stuff on LinkedIn thing. I mean, so I've done a number of different shows. I've fallen in love with lives. Abandoned podcasting altogether because I hit that 8th episode and I was like, forget this, and bailed. So I have that out on Spotify. I have proof. I should do a post about that sometime.
Yeah.
So it is the quality of the conversations that has remarkably shifted since then, and now heading into RSAC, right? We're going there. I don't want to find this. Adding the C is new for me. I'm not. It's always just been RSA. So we're going to go to RSA, and I've historically always gone, and I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't know anybody. And I would just go there and I walk around, I go up to the booths, and I'd have like a name of somebody I want to talk to. Okay. That's fun. And most of the time they weren't there. And then, and it'd be hard. And I kind of just, just try to build up my enthusiasm. And this time, okay, ran this show, right? I got 8 episodes now with you. So you're the 8th. Friday, I'm going to be hosting Nathan Burke, nice. For, former CMO of Axonius, new CMO of Nagoni Security. I think I got that right. Still getting into my cranium. But he and I are going to have a chat just like this. And going to be at the Cybersecurity Marketing Society pre-RSA party, which is sponsored by Infuse, right? Going to be there on site, like hanging out, supporting, what George and I were talking about a couple of days ago, Monday, talking about supporting these sort of safe spaces where sort of practitioners can congregate and compare notes away from the vendors, right? Which Okay, great. Let's do that. I can support that. So how do I enable that stuff? So fought hard to make that happen. And here we are. And so like, these are like dramatic shifts. So if I'm not alone, like, and if I'm just like, going through and I see you and I see George, or I see AJ, or I see Suzanne or Bronwyn, or Peter, or, anybody else who happens to be there, that like, let's party. Let's have fun. Let's do that. And that is totally different and 100% worth it. So there you go. Did I
I
hit
love it? You hit it. It's inspiring. I love hearing the story, and I appreciate you giving me, the context there, because that's what it's about. You offline, we were talking about Black Hat, where we were hanging out at the bar, and you were mentioning that was a great experience for you, but overall it kind of sucked because you had to go booth to booth and people were really aggravated and tired and hungry and whatever, right? And so that's what it's about. It's about hanging out with people offsite for the most part. I mean,
yeah.
You can hang out at the booth. It is a good opportunity, but to your point, people are tired. That's not their focus. That's not the place to establish a relationship and just get to know somebody initially. So I'm happy you're coming. I'm happy you're going to be there next week. I'm stoked to hang out. So
me too. All right. So I did have some like official questions.
Let's do it.
But let's talk. I want to get into a little bit more, because on some of the intro stuff that I did yesterday or whatever, I was really impressed by the fact that you've got 2 live shows tomorrow. So
accidental, by the way. It's not intentional.
Well, okay. No, so what? You're doing it. That's hard to do, man. I mean, that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can kind of, I can get up, and we're live, right? I gotta keep my thinking straight. And now you got to do that twice tomorrow. So tell me about each one of these. So you've got your live panel first, and then you've got the second one, which is more. It sounds like it's a little deeper, kind of a little more academic, if you will. So break those down for me. What's your plan for those?
Yeah. So in the morning, we're going to be talking about all things RSA truths, kind of like the brutal, honest version of what we hate about RSA, what we are hopeful for this year at RSA. We have a great panel coming in. So some veterans who have been there for a while. This is my second RSA, by the way. So I haven't been at many RSAs, but I have a lot of insight from RSAs. But that's the morning. Join us. It's going to be great. It's going to be funny. It's going to be hysterical, but it's also going to be super useful.
I can't wait. So let's back up, because Clark Barron never did answer my question whether he was going to be there. Do you know if he's going to be there?
Clark is an honorary attendee.
Okay,
he likely will have a cardboard cutout there. He's not going this year, but I told him to get his ass over to an event sometime soon. So hopefully
all right. Well, that's why he didn't answer my direct DM. Clark, are you going to RSA? Crickets.
Yeah.
All right, but he's going to be on the panel.
Yes.
So tell me how you know how do you know the other 3 or 2? How many is it? 2, 3?
Well, actually, I know Clark and Elliot from the Cyber Marketing Society, I believe.
Okay.
I believe it's a small community, right? So it's easy to get to know the folks there. Chase, I know. It's funny. Chase, actually, when I was working at Guardicore, Chase was working as an analyst with Illumio. I think he was over at Forrester working with Illumio, and he was on my radar. So Chase, if you're listening, you were on my radar. But then we actually, after I left Guardicore, and a few years later started Audience First. I just wanted to pick his brain, and I remember pinging him, I think last year or before, and I was like, hey, would love to meet you, would love to have you on my podcast as well. So he came on the podcast and we talked about Zero Trust, which was super insightful coming from Chase, Dr. Zero Trust. And then we met also at RSA last year in person, which was really cool, over at the Lumu booth. And yeah, he's building some cool stuff. He's building demo for us, and took a look at his product. And so we've been like pinging ideas and helping each other, validating, and just kind of staying in touch. So I was like, Chase, we're going to catch up next week. He created a little kind of troublemakers group on LinkedIn. And I was like, guys, let's talk about RSA. And they're like, okay. So that's how it kind of came together. And that's the beauty of events like RSA. They're so large that, you just got to find who it is you want to connect with and make it happen. And it's beautiful. A lot of great things have come out of that show last year. My first show. It's funny, you mentioned, I target marketers, right? They're my target audience. I sell to them, and I mean, so do I, right? I'm no longer selling to security practitioners, but I'm selling to marketers and to sales folks. I came to RSA last year not with the idea that I would close business or get prospects or opportunities. I came to just establish the relationships. It's why also I largely moved to America from Israel, because I wanted to meet people. I was always behind, the keyboard as a digital marketer, managing campaigns, and the field team was off.
We've locked up. Okay, so this is one of the risks of running live. I have Dani in the mid-sentence, and we have run into a brief technical glitch. But Dani, you're almost back. I see you on audio or video. You're back. Woohoo!
All right.
You moved to California, and you were in Israel, and you said something interesting that I'm going to pick up on a little bit too about selling to marketers and not necessarily to security practitioners. So I don't know if you want to expand on that or not, but at last you were in the middle of explaining why you moved, because you want to press the flesh.
Yeah.
And we're locked again. Okay. We got a little bit of an internet glitcheroonie going on. So I'm going to cover a little bit here, because I want to say, I'm just going to keep yapping until Dani till this glitch resolves itself. And she and I have been hanging out for a little bit. So Dani, if you want to exit and come back, we can try that. I don't know. This happens sometimes. Maybe it's the sunspot. maybe it's the NVIDIA chips. I don't know. I mean, NVIDIA lost 5% or something today on poor AMD sales. How those are connected is making me a little crazy. But like any good techno geek, I got a couple shares of NVIDIA, so I watched that a little bit, and whatever. It's what it is. All right, so you're sort of halfway back. All right, so we talked a little bit about your move to California, and I still want to hear more about how that is going as soon as we have audio from you. So you want to give me a little quick little hello?
Can I hear?
I got you.
Can you hear me?
I got you. Yeah, go fast. Oh no, we're locked again. We are doomed. We're cursed.
Coming back in and out.
Yeah, you're in and out on me. Let me try doing something here. You know what? It doesn't let me. Okay. So anyway, this is going to be extremely boring.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm holding.
Hold on. I got an earthquake. 1 sec.
What was that?
Oh, no.
Hold on.
What was that? What was that?
And we have an earthquake happening apparently in Southern California right now. So let's go and look that up because that's exciting stuff. And maybe it's why we're having some breakups. Maybe that's what's happening. Yeah, magnitude 2.8, 6 miles. All right, bam. That is like right in her backyard. It's happening. That was a couple days ago, actually. So it was not quite being reported, but there are some earthquake action. So we're live and we got an earthquake. That happened. Okay. So now I'm hope that Dani's okay. There you go. Okay. I didn't see like the walls didn't fall down. She's smiling. Okay. We're good. Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Earthquakes. Okay. That's real.
I felt the initial roll and then a big boop, and I was like, okay, that's definitely an earthquake. And interesting.
Is that your first one?
No. It's I think is it your first one? My wife is here, so she's having a little bit of a conniption.
Yeah.
Anyway, might have some aftershock. So that might be why the connection was funky.
We're a little bit sketchy today. Okay, well, that's exciting.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, everyone.
Hey, hello, Mother Nature. Please stop your earthquake. We have a live show happening right now. All right, no, I haven't been in an earthquake for quite some time, but it was, oh gosh, it's probably 20 years ago maybe. And we had some earthquakes rolling through my hometown here in Northwest Washington, and I was living in an old building at the time and working in an older building at the time. And I was about 5 stories up in each case. And holy crap, there was some motion there. I mean, it was like, I'm like, it was.
This one was up and down. That was a 4.3. Okay, interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm glad you lived.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
All right, we're back. We're focused. A little bit.
Are we focused? I don't know. Okay. I'm so glad I was here for that. All right. Is your wife doing okay? She's
yeah, she's good. She's
good.
I don't know if she even knew what the hell that was. I'm like, yep, gotta go check on her.
That was the whole house doing a thing. Okay, so you moved to Southern California so you could have more earthquakes. Got it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you could meet more people in person. Great.
Meet more people. Be close to the events. You know, it's easier to travel to all the security events. Mm-hmm. Easy to travel and do kind of offsite things as well with the business. So
okay,
it was a business move, but it was also personal move. I've been wanting to get here for come back for a while. I'm originally from Southern California, so it's nice to be back.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you're close. We're on the same time zone, and all that good stuff. So let's talk about the business for a minute.
Yep.
If you can, right? So what's happening with Audience First? What's your kind of where I want to know, like, what was the impetus to start it? Because I remember when you did that, when you left Cyber 6 Skill and you went out and got Audience First, like, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
Totally impressed, totally like, wow, awesome, hat tip on that. And now here you are, right? It's still running. You're still doing that. Is it the same business that it was when you started? Is it changing? Is it fulfilling your dreams of wealth and prosperity and all that other good stuff?
Fulfilling the dreams of wealth and prosperity. Maybe. I think
okay.
It's I'm passionate about it. There's a ways to go on that front, but it's largely the same. It's the same mission. The mission really is for marketers and sales professionals to better understand IT and security professionals so that they can, more efficiently sell to them. And, it starts from customer research. Mm-hmm. This past year and some has been, we've been focusing a lot on experimenting, in different programs. A lot of it is service focused through one-on-one conversations, focus groups. We have the podcast as well for sponsorship. But now, after doing a lot of different things, we had Academy as well, which was great. We still have Academy. We have an on-demand course for cybersecurity marketers and sales pros that is actually taught by a CISO, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But I realized that to affect change, it's not enough to, continue holding the GTM pro's hand. Services is hard to scale, especially for small business. But 2, the vendors need to do the work. I cannot continue doing the work for them, though I love doing it. And I love empowering them. They need to do the work in order to change things up, in order to, more predictably grow their revenue and create those relationships, which is required in our industry. And so the focus now is in reevaluating the last year and a half or so is double down on the podcasting, change it up just a little bit, increase the quality of the production,
Mhm.
increase the breadth of the guests or the audience coming on. So not just CISOs, right? Bring in the architects, the engineers, the analysts. And actually, I've added a new segment, which is to bring out to Los Angeles the founders, the subject matter experts from these, cybersecurity startups to hear their story. Like, how did they grow to where they are now from working with practitioners, from validation, from asking questions? Like, what's their story? Give me the backstory of where you were then, where you are now, where you want to be. So I want to hear those stories and connect with those folks. So I've added that layer on. And then come summer, I'm working to engineer something with a partner, a product for vendors to actually have more accessibility to the buyers, to the practitioners, and to be able to work with them. It's something that I wanted to do off the start. But the stars didn't align, which I think is good. I think this is perfect timing. It's funny how a lot of things are changing now, and the stars are aligning, and it's the right time to productize and to build a platform for vendors to have more accessibility and kind of that lower barrier to connect with the folks versus kind of, kissing the ring of Gartner and Forrester or paying hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get on a call and understand people. So I don't think that model works anymore. I don't think it's useful anymore to us folks. So that's the goal.
Okay. All right. So you said a whole bunch of stuff in there. And I want to pick up and sort of take apart a little bit. Not too much, because I know it's still pretty early, but I also want to say thanks to Justin Carter, who popped in. Thank you, sir, for leaving us a comment. Yeah, natural disasters are a hazard that we have to a risk of doing business, right? So thanks for jumping in here, and did sort of throw us off our game a smidge, but we're back and talking about Dani's dreams of for Audience First and productizing some offers here. So I love the word accessibility. I love that you use that, because it's in my experience with go-to-market particularly is there's a lot of moat building, and sort of guard doors and other kind of weird stuff that gets in the way of like trying to protect. And trying to protect something. I don't quite know what it is. It's dehumanizing, for one, right? It's like anytime you see a white paper, for example, or ebook or some other kind of downloadable or really any engagement opportunity, like, I'm ready to go to the next step, right? I'm ready. Let's advance this conversation. And the end of the white paper says, for more information, call sales@company.com.
Yeah.
What the? Come on. All right. If you want to talk about Infuse, call me, would you? Right here. I'm on a live show. Going to talk about Infuse? Call like Trevor. Okay, I'm your Infuse guy, right? You want to talk about Audience First? Call Dani. Right? Like, that's what accessibility means. It means connecting a human, right? Us, right? In our cases, right? With this point.
100%.
Thank you.
It's about knowing who's behind that screen or that gate or whatever, lifting the gate and just letting people see who it is, and deciding whether or not they want to engage with them or not.
Like
much more efficient, in my opinion.
Okay, well, I'm glad that we're on the same page about that, because George was talking about it too, right? And I know that you guys are kind of in cahoots a little, and so that's cool. This is Smidge. All right. Love that guy. He was so great. He doesn't know me from Adam. He just rolls into my little show here and just totally smokes it, and had some really incredible stuff that was so inspiring and so validating to me. Loved having him on, and thank you so much for that referral. But the idea of humanization. Now, there's other move afoot that I'm watching, and it's about email inbox penetration, right? Reach, creating reach, right? Because there's this move afoot against, like, the inbox algorithms are protecting owners from spam and so on. And there's this awareness now that you can automate email outreach at scale with AI, like a big time, and by rotating domains and doing some other fancy footwork, technical things. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, that's really cool. In fact, I just left a comment on a post that was super popular. It's kind of about this, like, oh, it's really, really exciting, like from a geek out kind of perspective.
You got to show that to me, because I don't.
You don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, great. So there's okay, but what's happening? So I'm seeing this. There's this thing going on of how do we do how do we do email, like just like, I mean, bolus, like huge volumes, right? To achieve the what formerly known as an SDR motion, and marry that with what you're talking about right now. What I'm trying to talk about, what George's talking about, which is like, hey, buyers ultimately want to talk to, like, people, that they want to have a relationship. They want to feel confident. They want to feel like they're getting through. And I'm pretty sure it was, so George in fact said point blank, like, look, once they get wind that you have abused their inbox, and if you're getting into the inbox with a brand, they're going to associate that brand with abuse, and they're going to unlike you. They're going to make it hard.
Blacklist you. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they may not be able to blacklist you because you're so good at spoofing the algo, right? The inbox algo, right? You just work around it. You get some other domain and get in there. Okay. So we have do we have two forces, or is there some way that we can cope with this? Do you even, I mean, or am I just too excited to even put two words together?
I gotta look at that. I don't know. I think so. I like, somebody asked me if they think if I think outbound is dead. I don't think it is, or cold email is dead. I don't think it is. I think if you do it well in terms of providing context, a human level, all the AI and the algorithm stuff and loopholes, I got to research that, FYI. Like, I have no clue. So send me that. I got to take a look at it.
All right.
But I don't think it's dead. I think that you can be human with cold outreach. If that's your question, by the way, I don't know if it is. But,
it might end up being that. It might be either to humanize it for one, or are we talking about saying, like, look, this is brand, this is a brand lift effort, and so we're going to it's from the brand, it's not from an individual.
I just don't think email is the right touch point for the first try, or for the brand lift.
Okay.
I mean, we talked about accessibility. The nice thing about LinkedIn is a lot more accessible than email, because you can see who the people are. You can verify. You can take a look at their profiles, which allow you to deduce what kind of person they are, more or less, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Email, you can't. It's not as accessible, and you're running the risk of, think about the security practitioner, like, oh, do I really want to click on that? Do I really want to open that file? So, like, it's just useless, in my opinion. So
yeah. And then Clark Barron asserts that too. Like, it's like, well, why would you send a cold email to a security practitioner?
Yeah.
Right. Because they're not going to click on it. Right. But on the flip side, sometimes I wonder if they're going to click on it just to say, try me, arg, let's see if I'm going to click on this, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just.
Well, if you are going to send a cold email and want to attach stuff or links, like, provide them with the information to verify that stuff. Like, don't just give them a link, like, tell them, where this link goes to, give them a little bit more expectation, even though they would still be able to verify it themselves. But, like, make that email accessible for them in terms of verification and that kind of stuff. So Anyway,
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
we kind of
All
went
right. Well,
off track there.
that's okay. That's fine. This is our show. We can talk about whatever we want. David Ketchen is in the house too. He is a good friend of mine, an example of somebody who I have met here on LinkedIn. He is an artist and a consultant in the technical space. He lives in New Zealand, of all places. And so, David, thank you, sir, for coming out. And yeah, I, for one, am not super pumped about talking to AI, to his comment.
Yeah, I don't know if I particularly agree with that, but
fair enough. So that's okay. We're here to debate positions. All right, but let's get back because we're not quite at time. We got a little bit of time to kind of unpack a few other things that I want to kind of get to. What are you? So this will be your second RSA. I want to get back in there. Now, how long have you been part of the Cybersecurity Marketing Society? How long has that been part of your?
I think it's since it started, really,
So
since
like
it was a itty bitty thing.
3 or 4 years ago or whatever it was?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. And did you hear that when Gianna said that it's nearly 3,000? I bet it's 3,000 by now. I mean, because that was just a couple weeks ago.
Let's check how many.
Yeah, let's do that because she hasn't told me.
We are at, I don't know if I'm divulging anything that I shouldn't be saying, but yeah, or they broke 3,000.
Nice. Congratulations, Cybersecurity Marketing Society. Yeah, way to go. And so it was, literally it was April 5th, 12th, I think she was on as my first guest of this series. And it was like 2,965 or something. So you're growing. Like nice. that's like a real like a 1% growth in a couple of weeks.
Well,
okay.
I mean, it wasn't very long ago that I had celebrated and told them bravo in the channel for hitting 2K. So it really wasn't long ago. I mean, they're growing and doing so many great things. It's a fabulous. That was
let's talk about some of those great things. I want to hear from you. If you can divulge, like, what do you think? I mean, you're down in the weeds of trying to figure out like how do marketers talk to their customers. But so what do you see as like the kind of the biggest challenge as we're approaching the midpoint of 2024 for the cybersecurity marketing industry? What do you see there? Like, where are the disconnects and where are the opportunities?
I won't, pin this strictly on folks in the Cybersecurity Marketing Society, but it's just in general. The challenge is understanding like who is it that I really want to talk to? Like, do I really understand who my target ICP, ideal customer profile is? Second is like, what do I need to know? And what's my research objective? What is it that I need to ask? And how do I ask it in the best way possible to extract insights that are qualitative and subjective and objective? And then the third is, I don't really necessarily know how I'm going to apply this because I got some information, but then what, right? How do I analyze it? How do I apply it? How do I take it back to my team or to my stakeholders or even, to my desk and use it? Because a lot of data just sits there and collects dust, right? Whether it's quantitative or qualitative. So those are kind of like high level challenges. Mm-hmm. Other challenges that I kind of see within the society and just in kind of like, viewing the chatter there on specific channels regarding people, it's that they're people, they're not personas. They're people, they're dynamic, there are a lot of different nuances, there are personality traits. Some are on the spectrum, some are neurodivergent, we're all neurodiverse, some are neurodivergent, and so those nuances are hard to understand on persona cards. So sticking to those can sometimes do a disservice to the teams in understanding the real kind of experiences, perceptions, needs, challenges of people behind the keyboard fighting, on the digital front lines or even physical, right? Another is just getting access to talk to people because they're busy. Security practitioners are busy. IT buyers are very busy. And then there's also the perception on the GTM side is like, okay, well, I'm going to talk to them and maybe convert them to a prospect or MQL, SQL opportunity when a large majority of the market is not buying something right now, maybe later. And so there's a lot of disconnect in terms of timing, in terms of priorities, in terms of experiences. And so those are kind of the high level things that I'm observing.
Interesting.
I think we can solve them. We just need to be aware of them and cater to those challenges a little bit more deeply. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. I'm relating to it. I signed up for the Google cybersecurity course that on Coursera as to get some sort of test I was going to take. I had to put that on hold because I was moving, and among other things. But I got enough into it and was exposed to enough information in and around like what does it take to be a SOC analyst? What does that even look? What is that job? What does that even? Who is that person? And I was like, okay. I get a taste now. Just trying to figure out what all of the various buckets within cybersecurity are, how they interrelate, what a vendor is talking about, which buckets they cover, is really confusing, like utterly confusing and difficult. And I'm like, okay, where's my all-in-one solution? I just go buy that and then forget about the rest and hope that it works. All right. Was I off base in there? And because I was I'm just like, hey, where do I even start with this stuff?
Yeah. You're not wrong. I do see it depends what kind of organization you're in though, from the buyer side. Sometimes the all-in-one solution doesn't work. A lot of organizations have a lot of different solutions or very complementary solutions. And so that's why collaboration and integration is huge in our space. And not just on the tech side, by the way, also just on the human side. That's a huge thing, collaboration and integration between teams, between communication styles. So I'd say the communication aspect that I'm such a proponent of for vendors also applies to the practitioners. Like they need to learn a thing or two about interviewing their target audience, if you will, which could be their board, their CFO, their CEO, even the CMO, their team, their developers.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Wow. I mean, it's a project that I am hoping, planning, wanting to get into because I have, and for whatever it's worth, it's as I've gotten closer to cybersecurity as a sub vertical within tech overall, I love it. I get. I mean, I get that there's some challenges, right? That it's hard. That it's not a money maker, right? It's a money kind of protector, if you will. For the industries or the companies that are buying it. AJ Nash from Zero Fox, came on and made a case that hey, we got our work cut out for us here, right? If we're really going to grow this stuff, and some of the solutions, some of the approaches might be quickly outdated based on consumer behavior and perception of risk and willingness to accept that risk, and then but at the same time was like, hey, it's missional, right? I resonate with the idea that we're not just here to make a buck, right? Like we're here to like make the world a better place, and that's there's goodness in that. I can sleep well, or at least know that I'm not making it worse, or just taking what I can get out of it. And so I feel good about that.
Yeah,
100%. So, with that, we are at time, my friend. So tomorrow you got a big day ahead of you. Get some good rest. Don't go out and party too much. Hopefully you won't get any more earthquakes. You'll have stable.
I know. I'm sorry about that. Can't manage the natural disasters, but felt like I was a little bit off my game, a little flustered now. So I'm gonna go kind of drink some
That's-
cold water.
That's okay. All right. Well, go drink some cold water. I will look for you tomorrow online everywhere. And then on Sunday, May 5th, I will see you at the Cybersecurity Marketing Society pre-RSAC party sponsored by Infuse. And yeah, whoever else is going to be sponsoring that sucker, because I didn't keep track of them. But alas, I cannot wait to get down there and see you in person once again. All right. So Dani, I'm going to have a count up timer, and yeah, you are free to go and drink that water and get back on your game. All right. Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate you.
You bet. All right. Here we go. Count.